All right. Welcome back to the podcast. It has been a hot minute since I've done a video. My son is now 7 months old. So, Koa, you are getting very, very big and very, very heavy. We just got him his helmet today. For those that don't know, the premise of this podcast is for me to impart lessons to my son, if heaven forbid I'm not around, or for him to just look back on and, kind of see the advice. It's also a bit for me to see how far I've come, to understand, what lessons I've learned so I don't forget, right? Because I think one of the big challenges that people have, and I personally have, is the challenge to remember where I've come from and how much I've developed, and to remember the lessons, because we go through hard times, or we go through things that are challenging, and or even great times, but we don't take the time to remember the lessons or the emotions or what you felt during that time. And if you don't take the time to do that, then those events or those challenges have less meaning, because you're not actually using it and learning from it, right? It's just something that happened to you and it sucked and you're through it. But if you can learn from it, then you're at least getting some level of positivity out. And over time, that makes a big impact. That's where wisdom comes from. I'm a very strong believer in that. So, that's what the purpose of this podcast is to remember, to highlight, to pass things down for posterity. Because I think it's important, some of the things we're going to talk about. And let me just align this real quick, because this is all messed up. All right. So the kind of premise of this, and I'm seeing this more and more, the generation that is before me, everyone says, oh, you got it easier than I do, yada, yada, yada. It's becoming more clear now than it ever has been. There is more entitlements, specifically here in the U.S. You talk about other countries, it's not so in, my home country, or where my family came from in the Philippines, things like that. But when you look at here in the United States and you look at young people today, people feel like they're entitled to things. People feel like I should have a job. They feel like I should make six figures. And we're seeing that become more and more prevalent. I think it makes it easier for those of us that work really hard and put in the effort, that we are really going to be more successful and stand out even farther, right? It's going to be easy. And again, this little thing over here, right? Run them over. The generation that my son is going to probably grow up into, because weak men create bad times. Their kids, my peers' kids, most likely are going to grow up in a soft environment. The big questionable things that are happening right now is people pushing their woke trans agenda on children, and I think it's disgusting. I think it's terrible. And you're essentially pushing a major decision on people that do not have the ability to make cognitive decisions for themselves. I mean, we've made it abundantly clear that children cannot make decisions because their brains aren't fully developed yet. It's why you got to be 18 to join the military. It's why you got to be 21 to drink. And frankly, I think it should be higher in both those counts. I think 21 and 18 are way too young. But even just using that as a baseline, we're predicating expensive, life-altering surgeries on people with brains who are not fully developed. And I'm a little bit more libertarian. If you look at the flag behind me, you understand that liberties are very important to me. And I think it's, again, should be said, I don't care what you do as an adult, but don't push it on your children. But because they are pushing it, and this softer approach is the way children are being raised now, the kids that you're going to grow up with, Koa, are going to be weak mentally, weak-minded. They're going to think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. They can do no wrong. And there's not going to be a lot of challenges. It is going to be a challenge. And I'm going to put you in some sports, kid. I mean, you're already a freaking monster. You're in the 80th percentile in some areas, 90th percentile in others. So, like, you're going to be a freaking massive kid, just like your daddy. But it is becoming more and more challenging to find sports and things that are competitive. Like, they're trying to remove competitiveness from, younger children. And I don't think that's a good thing. So just know your dad's going to be a psycho. I'm going to yell at some sports games. If they are not going to keep track of score, I'm 100% going to keep track of score. And I'm going to tell them if they won or lost, because that's what I believe in. And I hope you raise my grandson that way, if you're watching this video. And understand that the reason why I do this and I say this is because this is what's going to set you up for success. And it's preparing you for an unfair world. This over here, it's so true. It's going to be so easy for you to succeed in comparison to these other people. Run them over. We are kind. We're Christians. And we take care of people. But when it comes to business, when it comes to competitiveness, we all's fair, right? So long as you're doing things that are legal, be competitive. Beat them. Be better because you set a higher standard, right? And right now the bar is continuing to get set lower and lower. The standards are keep getting lowered and lowered. And you should not sell yourself short. I can already tell, even though you are 7 months right now, how intelligent you are. Your great-grandmother has even mentioned it to me. The eye contact that you have, the way that you are already expressive, the development stages. I already know that you have my brains, or hopefully better than me, because your mother is also very, very smart. So the combination of us, I think, probably squared your intelligence. And hopefully you get a little bit more of her offender type personality, which go look up 16 Personality, son. It's a really good thing. And hopefully it's still around whenever you're watching this video. Your dad is a commander. We just took that little test today. And showed that your mother was a defender, I'm a commander, and it kind of blends well with our personality types. But it's going to be incredibly easy to run these people over. It's going to be incredibly easy to be wildly successful. And, just to show you that it's possible, I'm working additional hours. I'm figuring out new and creative ways to make the company larger that I work for, but then also raising money for other companies, trying to make deals happen. Now, some of the deals have come through. They're not where I want them to be. They're a lot smaller. I'm hoping this year is the year that some very big deals come through because I'm putting a lot of time and effort, but nothing is real until it's real. But I'm a product of running people over by just sheer willpower and outworking. It is currently 1:44 in the morning. And most people, I went to the gym. I worked until 12:30. Most people would not be able to do what I do and do this day in and day out. Because that's the other thing. Anyone can work 80, 100-hour work weeks one time. Do it for a year. Do it for 2 years. Do it for 3 years. I'm not saying do it forever. And I'm certainly, hopefully, not going to be doing this forever. But time compounds. So run people over, get in line, get your due, build early so that you can rest later. Because time is a big compounder. If I'm spending 100 hours now, it's like in 10 years, probably closer worth to 300 or 400 hours, because the 100 hours that I use to generate money or whatever task appreciates over time, hopefully, right? So what I'm telling you, outwork everybody. Jocko Willis, again, he'll probably be dead by the time you're watching this, but go check him out. People watching the podcast, go check him out. He talks about this. He talks about the softening of our generation. And in 2023, we are becoming softer and softer as a people, especially in the United States. We are imploding because of these arguments that frankly don't matter, right? Like, we talk about social justice. We talk about being offended. You have the right to be offended. You do not have the right to not be offended, right? And this softening, even in those points, right? People spend so much time and consume so much effort in that energy that they are not putting their time and energy toward things that are productive. Because frankly, a lot of these social issues that people just spend so much energy on, they are not the ones that make an impact. Like, unless you're running for Congress or you are an influential person, right, who has a lot of money, it is going to be very challenging for you to make an impact. Am I saying don't go to rallies? No. Use your liberties to do that. But just know, while you're doing these things, other people are working. Other people are getting ahead. Other people are building their empires. Other people are building their careers, building their skill sets. So while you are doing something that might theoretically help your cause, you're getting run over. My son is going to run you over. I'm going to run you over. So, Koa, the biggest thing I can tell you from this, work smarter, but also work harder. People will tell you work smart, not hard. Why not both? You'll hear me probably say this a lot as you grow up. ¿Por qué no los dos? And I'm hoping it means, why not both? Kind of just start saying it. I'm thinking that's the correct Spanish, but probably isn't, because I don't really speak Spanish. But really, it's about the consistency. Be consistent, have drive, push, and run them over, man. People are going to be soft. People are going to get in your way. People are going to be overly sensitive. Just be quiet. Be quiet and outwork them. I got to where I was by being the first in the office and the last to leave the office. Even before VPs, even before directors who were doing a lot more work. And they said, why are you still here? And I was on salary, so I wasn't like doing overtime or anything like that. I said, I leave when the work's done. Work's not done yet. I said, what are you doing? I'm like, here's what I'm doing. Like, you could leave that for tomorrow. I'm like, I could, but I think I need to do it today, so I don't have to do it tomorrow. Or I can refresh it tomorrow and provide better service to the customer. And I got recognized for that. I got moved up very quickly. And then, I switched a few companies. And here I am, owning a couple companies, helping raise capital for a few, and also being C-suite before the age of 30. Now, I'm still, again, trying to build, but I am an example of running people over. I had people telling me I was crazy. Like, why would you work this hard? Why would you do this? I said, because I'd rather do it now. I'd rather do it now so I can enjoy and be done when I'm like 35. Like, I'm probably not going to be done when I'm 35. But so I can be done when I'm 40. And I still have my knees and my back. And I can actually go out and do stuff and enjoy my money. and enjoy time with my kids, like that's what I want to do. So I worked hard in my 20s, and the sunset is coming on my 20s in like a month and a half. No, not even. No, it's about a month and a half. The sunset is coming on my 20s. So I'll probably need to sit down and write what my impact was for the last decade and how I can strive to be better. But yeah, son, the lesson today, outwork everyone. Because not only is it important because you can be successful, I believe it's truly what God has called us to do. He's given us skill sets. He's given us hands. We are supposed to be good stewards of the skills and the abilities that God has given us. And if we are not using them to the fullest extent, or you're wasting it, then you're dishonoring God. That's the way I feel about it. Now, I'm not going to hold you to that standard. That's the standard I hold myself to. I will never ask you to do something, son, that I myself will not do. And I will not hold you to the standard that I have, like my standard, because I'm a psycho. I recognize that. But I'm definitely going to hold you to a standard higher than everyone else or is really holding their kids. So be prepared, because I know the greatness that God has bestowed upon you, and I know the greatness that you will be able to impart on the world. And that goes for everyone that's listening to this. If you're listening to this, you're made for a purpose. God loves you and made you for a purpose. And your purpose should be to honor him with whatever gifts and abilities or opportunities that he has presented you. It is your duty to maximize all of that, because that's where you're going to find fulfillment. You're going to find fulfillment in that because you're doing the right thing. You're not procrastinating. So that's the end of this podcast. Stay tuned for more series. I'm going to come up with some more topics to discuss, more lessons that I've learned. I'm going to go into some business details that I've learned. I've had a couple of companies start up and have already expanded 200 or 300% in the last few months, which is phenomenal. And I'll hopefully be imparting the lessons that I learned to make that happen. So thank you so much for listening. Kawhi, I love you. I hope all of you have success in life and in business.